struggling a little bit with the pain at the end of that one, but we did. If you want to see me slap Mark from about a year ago, you can go and check that out as well.
The video is definitely worthwhile because your reaction to getting hit directly in the back with that rock hard football, priceless. I love it, and also I'm a pretty bad kick, so it's fun to watch that.
Horrible. Yeah, please just watch it. We should make a bogus montage of just your shit
We need
kicks.
one of those. Actually,
Trying to catch up with the Papadum Geek. Yeah.
Hey, I'm Ritchie Plunkett from the Papadum Geek.
Ritchie Plunkett, the Papadum Geek. You can check him out on the Twitters at Ritchie Plunkett, RITCHIPLUNKETT. Also on the YouTubes at youtube.com/the Papadum Geek. Does a whole lot of cool tech reviews, and he's my favourite Papadummy friend. Hello, man.
thanks.
I just made that up, don't worry about it. What have you got for us tech-wise this week?
Well, everyone knows that iOS 7 was released today. You know, people have been downloading, people have been trying to download. I've been looking at all the updates, and people are having mixed feelings about it.
I guess a lot of my friends that don't have an iPhone 5, like if they've got the 4S, they're downloading it and it is so slow. They're just saying it's ruining the system, like and because they can't really go back. I'm not sure. Can you revert back?
No, you can't. That's the thing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
once you upgrade, so that's
Is it a forced update?
No,
it's not forced. None of the Apple's updates are forced, but eventually down the track they start cutting down features. So eventually you would have to update to run a certain game or run a certain app. But
they did actually just add in the functionality, so now you can download the last functioning one. So like if you had like an iPhone 4 and then new apps when they get updated don't support it, you can only download up to that one. So
that's great. Yeah, well, at least they're doing that.
Anyway, the mixed response I've been seeing on Facebook and social medias everywhere is that first of all, people either like, oh, this looks like a child's toy. Why is it doing all this moving stuff? Yeah. And you're just like, oh, okay. And then the other half is just like, this looks really slick. I really like how it's like. You've had it for a few months now.
I've had it for a few months, and I thought exactly the same thing when I first started using it. I was like, man, it's like in your face, like all these transitions and everything. It's like looking at a PowerPoint from like the 90s in terms of transitions. Like everything's just coming in and out. And then after a while, it sort of grew on me, and I really like it now. Actually, going back to like iOS 6, it's just like
it's a bit clunky. It looks a bit clunky.
Yeah, because I love this whole new Metro look, which everyone is going for. Like Microsoft, Apple, games. They're going
just
for that nice
slick and simple.
Like a flat design.
Look, I really like it. I just have one question. Will the added colour and I suppose all those transitions eventually sap battery life a little bit more?
Yes. Because when I first started using it, the battery life was horrible in the first couple of betas or alphas. And after, it's still pretty bad, and still people are still having those issues. My advice is to do a full cycle, and what that is just you can do with any phone. You just charge it fully and then let it drain the whole time, and then charge it up again, and that should supposedly.
It definitely does. I gotta say, like my Galaxy S4 lasts me like almost 2 days. It's ridiculous.
Right.
That's just because I let it drain all the way to the bottom every time.
Now, positives and negatives about this. I know we used to do this. We're kind of bring it back just for this. What are the best positives about the iOS?
I reckon it just looks amazing. Everything's just seamless. I find it like going through apps, the actual closing the apps too. You just have to swipe it instead of hitting that little X button. I mean, it's just something a bit. It flows a bit better.
Did you think they picked that up from just on tangent from Microsoft with the way that they move their apps and get rid of all of their stuff?
I think so, yeah. And it just seems like, that was the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, being Apple, they seem to pinch, ideas from here and
there. They do. But, people's negative responses, I think, a lot of the time, especially with this stuff, is just, it's a change. They need to get used to it. I mean, everyone hated Timeline. I got to say, Timeline is better than what it was before. It was just when it came out, it looked different. It functioned a little bit differently. People just need to get used to it, and they'll eventually accept it, especially once it runs faster.
Negatives of iOS 7. Do you find
battery life is horrible.
Yeah.
I have to charge my phone if I'm using it. Like currently, I've been using it all day, and it's sitting at 9%. So I don't think it's going to make it.
It's not even 4 p.m. yet, guys.
Are you finding that other apps, for example, you've got the iPhone 5, are you finding that apps slow down as well?
So far, I haven't found it slowing down at all.
Good.
Sometimes, occasionally, like for a heavy game, it might crash all of a sudden, but that might be the app itself that they haven't actually optimized it for iOS 7.
You always see an update every now and again saying, optimized for iPhone 5 or whatever.
Exactly. But I would suggest if you do have the iPhone 4S, maybe don't update, because the iPhone 4, I think when iOS 6 came out, it was the same problem. People were having the same thing. And you sort of have to deal with it. I think that's Apple's.
You just have to stick with what they give you right at the beginning. Just stay with that software.
Now we've got a couple of texts. If you want to text in as well, 0427 767 767. iOS 7 was actually out yesterday, so people have started to have a play with it. Also, apparently you can downgrade without jailbreaking, so give that a iPhone
Okay, yeah.
That's pretty good, I guess, for people who have like lower phones. I know back in the day when iOS like 4 and 5 came out and you had like a iPhone 3, like 3S back in the day, they wouldn't let you upgrade to the new iOS.
Well, that's right, because now you can actually download the separate, the actual just iOS 6 and then force. You can actually, I think if you hit Control, I think on the Mac, I'm not too sure on the Windows computer, if you hit Control, you can actually force update it.
Now the Plantronics Commander, yes.
Commander headset, yes. I had to play with that. We talked to it, I think, for a couple of shows now, and what it is a competition headset from Plantronics. It is supported by LOL. They use
League of Legends.
League of Legends for the people out there, and it is.
I was going to say LOL.
It is a beast of a headset. When wearing it, you literally feel like a fighter jet pilot.
Yeah. Well, there's like, it glows on the side. How does it, just for the main important parts besides the flashy aesthetics, how does it sound and how does your voice sound?
So what's it called? It actually has a 7.1 surround sound, virtual surround sound, for that, and it actually uses this little dongle, which, most hardwares use. Plantronics have been using that for a couple of headsets now, and it sounds really cool. It uses 40mm headset, so it's not, excessively large, but pretty much standard in, headsets these days. It has a noise cancellating mic. The actual headset is noise reduction, not actually noise cancellation. I thought it's huge, so I assumed it was going to have noise cancellation in it, but it's just noise reduction because it's so big it just cancels so much.
I gotta just quickly ask, it is, as you've said, so big many times now. How does it actually feel on your head, comfort-wise? What are we going to expect?
Well, I haven't found it getting like heavy at all on my head, so it is quite comfortable and it's padded really nicely. But the one thing about it is the actual band itself, it's not like elastic like some headsets where it just permanently stays there. So sometimes when wearing it, it just seems to droop down sometimes.
Oh, that's really annoying. That happens with my Microsoft one when I'm playing online. It just always droops.
And that's one of the other headsets which I really love by SteelSeries is they have this sort of mesh, this sort of like elastic band, whereas you didn't have to adjust it, you didn't have to do anything. You just put it on your head and it just fitted straight away.
Yeah. Well, again, I've got a big head, so that's not a big problem for me.
Gigantic.
We're kind of running over time, but thanks so much for coming in. If you want to find out more information about Ritchie Plunkett, do it again on Twitter at Ritchie Plunkett, on his website, ritchieplunkett.com, and on YouTube, youtube.com/the Papadum Geek.
Coming up right now, Dakota by Stereophonics. All your Respawn news coming up right after this.
This is Radio Respawn with Mark and Josh, Gaming Amplified.